welcome to another episode of the Bottom of the Stream Movie Show. My name is Adam.
My name is Nick. Welcome back to another week on the stream boat as we are on our never-ending quest to search the bottom of the Netflix stream for hidden gem movies.
We are indeed, and this week we have got aboard our stream boat and taken it across the pond to France.
Channel. It's called the Channel.
No, they call it the pond.
The ponds are to America.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think.
I thought it was the pond. We've taken it to France.
Le Pond.
Le Pond. And we are going to watch a movie called The Lost Patient.
Yes.
It was released in 2022. It is a 15. It runs for 1 hour and 32 minutes. And is currently rated at 5.3 out of 10 on IMDb.
Interesting note,
Yes.
which you noted last week.
Yep.
Exactly the same IMDb rating as last week's movie.
It is indeed. The very same rating.
Which was Strange Ways, Here We Come.
Yeah. Thoughts?
I would not rate them the same.
I would not rate them the same either.
Without trying to give too much away.
This movie stars, how do I pronounce a name with an X in the middle? Txomin.
Yeah.
Txomin. Txomin Vergez plays Thomas. Txomin Vergez, his only role on IMDb is this one.
Wow.
Nothing before, nothing since. Not even like small roles, B movies, anything. Nothing at all on there other than this. Very strange. Then it also stars Clotilda.
Yeah.
Clotilde.
Yeah.
Clotilda Hesme. She plays Anna. You might recognise her. She's in Lupin.
Is she?
Lupin.
Depends. I've not seen all of Lupin. I don't think I've seen the last one, so it depends when she's in it.
She's in quite a few episodes. She plays a character called Juliet.
Okay.
And they're the only two names I've written down in this one because they're kind of the main two people in this movie. Written by Elodie Neymar, Christophe Charrier, and Timothy Le Boucher. And directed by Christophe Charrier. They've all got other stuff on there, but it's all French. And there's not much. They've all only done a few things, and they seem to have all worked together quite a lot. Do you, Nick, have a one-word review of The Lost Patient?
Hypnotique.
Hypnotique. As in, you comparing it to Hypnotic?
There's similarities.
There are similarities. Where does this movie start, Nick?
In the rain.
It is raining.
A man leaves a house at night time.
Yes.
And then the shot doesn't change.
Yes.
But
Suddenly
it turns to daytime. It is not raining.
There are a few nice transition shots in
Yes,
this
there
movie.
are some cool transitions.
I've noted a few of them. And yeah, it's the same shot. It's now daytime and it is not raining. And there are some children playing football in the street.
And they kick the ball over the hedge into the garden of this house.
Yes.
And all the kids are like, that's that family's house.
Yeah.
I don't want to go in. We'll get in trouble. We said we wouldn't kick it over again. So they do what any self-respecting group of kids would do.
What you've always done. Every kid's done it.
They send the ginger in.
Yep. Send the little ginger kid. He'll go and get it. When he gets there, he knocks on the door. Nobody answers. He kind of knocks on a few of the windows.
Yeah, he calls out because they know the family.
Yeah.
Said, Mr. and Mrs.
town.
Grimold.
Yeah.
Can we have our ball back? Sorry, we didn't mean to.
Nobody's answering. So he goes around to the side of the house.
Patio doors.
Looks through the window. What does he see?
Dead people.
Lots of dead people.
See dead people.
3 dead people. So we see a man with a hole in his head on the sofa. A lady with a hole in her back on the floor. And another man at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
And then a man is sitting propped up against the sofa on the floor.
Yes.
And then that shot lovely transitions into that same man in a hospital bed.
Lying down.
But it never his face never leaves the screen.
Correct.
As it transitions. It's a beautiful shot. And he is waking up, it would appear.
He is waking up.
Dead. There's doctors milling around, nurses milling around, helping him wake up.
I thought this was really well done, actually.
Same.
Because it wasn't a sort of... It was a real waking up. As in what actually sort of might happen. It wasn't a sort of magical...
Yeah.
He squeezed someone's hand and...
Yeah, and suddenly he's awake.
The nurse was doing a regular check and she said, I can see signs of...
movement.
Activity.
Yeah.
And then they start to take
everybody's milling around.
Tubes out and he comes around.
Yeah, they talk him into open his eyes. He doesn't open his eyes.
Sort of talking him to help him come round.
Yeah. And he does. He wakes up. He's fully then back in the world of the living. And that night, he's in his room alone, and he sees what I've
Lying
written.
awake.
Yeah, lying awake.
Staring
She's been
at the
asleep for a while.
Yes.
What
I'm
I've,
not sure it's called asleep, but we'll get into that.
what I've written down in here is that he sees a shadowy figure in his room.
Yeah.
And this shadowy figure gets on top of him on
It's
the
a
bed.
hoodie. I've just called it the hoodie all the way
Hoodie.
through.
Okay. I've called it the shadowy figure. It gets on top of him on the bed and starts like strangling him.
It does.
And
But all the time, we can see that this man is still breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And he screams into the credit sequence, which was, again, another lovely transition. So we get a bit of a credit sequence into a title card. French title card, because it's a French movie. It says La Patiente.
It's not lost him.
It's not lost in France.
No.
No, it's just a patient.
Yeah.
Lost Patient. Strange name for this film?
Maybe there's already a film called The Patient.
Yeah, maybe.
It might be as simple as that. Just needed another word.
Strange name for a film? This film?
Is he lost?
Yeah.
Is he a patient? He's in a hospital. I guess. It's fine.
Okay, we'll allow it.
It's
We're
a
allowing
fairly
it.
generic title, isn't it?
Next morning, he gets woken up by a bird pecking at his window, and we meet a psychologist who comes into the room for the first time. She is called Anna,
She is.
and she reveals that he has been in a coma for a very long time.
But she says, "Hello, Thomas. This is
Hello,
Thomas." Yeah.
This is Thomas, our main character, and she says you've been in a coma for a long time, and
He kind of says he remembers her.
yeah, he says he remembers vaguely talking to her in the past because
Yeah.
this isn't the first time they've met.
No.
Since cause I feel like some time has passed since he woke up now.
Oh,
Not much time.
I
but
also thought maybe she'd been talking to him whilst he
he's
was
been asleep.
in his coma.
She said, I think she said she spoke to him just after he woke up. And
Oh,
he was
okay.
like still
Fine.
groggy or
Fine.
whatever. He says that he's scared of the monster.
Yes, and she said that because last night you had a panic attack.
Yes.
And we had to sedate you.
Yeah. She asks him if he remembers why he's here, and he says no, and she says, "Well, I've told you recently why you are here, but I will tell you again." And she says, 3 years ago, your entire family was murdered,
Yes, your parents
and your cousin.
and your cousin.
Yeah,
And you yourself, you were found stabbed
in the stomach.
and nearly dead.
Yep.
This is what I have got from my
Yeah,
subtitles.
and apparently it's been in a coma for 3 years,
Yeah.
and it is now 2001.
I know.
What is going on with this season? We are stuck in a time this season, and we don't know how to get out of it.
We are in a time period.
We are.
From, I think we are now to 5 movies from sort of
early
2001 to
2000s.
2005.
After saying during the first one, which I think was Finder's Fee,
Yeah.
that we've never done a movie from this time period
Which
before.
I more meant as in a movie made in that time. But we
period.
have now watched 2 movies made around that time,
Yeah.
and four if not 5 set
around
there.
that time. We have become stuck in a time loop.
Yeah.
And then I've written here, Thomas passes out into a flashback
Yes.
when he's told this story.
Which is a device used frequently.
There's a lot of flashbacks
Through this
in
movie.
Yeah. So this film,
But it's presented as he is gradually guessing his memories back.
yes. So the story that we are being told in the flashbacks is what Thomas is remembering.
Yes.
And is not necessarily the truth.
He is. I would think it's fair to say that, yeah, he could be an unreliable narrator.
Correct. So yeah, he goes into this flashback. We kind of we don't see any of the murders at this point, but we see the aftermaths of that and what's going on in that sort of world.
And he can see a girl, but he can't quite make her
her
out.
out.
But he knows there's a girl somewhere around.
Yeah. And he wakes up out of this flashback, still in the hospital, but there's a physio kind of working him.
Yeah.
Pulling his muscles and making his muscles work.
Yes.
And
he checks out his knife scar, doesn't he?
he does, checks out his
Big
scar.
scar on his stomach.
The physio's making him squeeze his hand, and
Yeah.
he actually manages to squeeze it until he hurts the physio, so his hands work. And he says, "I want to know where my sister is,"
Yes.
because nobody's mentioned his sister. He has a sister, and he asks the psychologist, doesn't he,
Yeah.
Anna, and she says, "Look, your sister's disappeared. We don't know where she is."
Yeah. She says, "We can help you."
Yeah, so
She says, "I'm here to help you.
we need to
understand
help you
what
jog your
happened."
memory so we can find your sister and find out what's
And
going
she
on.
kind of says, which I think was an interesting conversation,
Yeah.
given that we don't see these people later on.
Yeah.
But she says to me, she's kind of pitching to him. I took this as at this point. Come on, talk to me, open up, because if you talk to me now, it's going to be easier than when the police. We've got a bit of time.
Yeah,
but I can't hold the police off. They're going to come and question you.
Yeah.
But then we never really see the police.
We don't ever see the police. That is true. It's a good point. It's a good point. So she starts to try and jog his memory. He's having like memories of what the house looked like, and things like that. And they're all coming in little flashes.
She helps him. She says it was a very nice house you guys lived in, and all this thing, it happened on a very stormy night. Is that bringing anything back? And
he's kind of walking around the house remembering, and he remembers that there's an empty room in this house.
Yeah,
there's, as far as he knows, has always been empty.
Yeah, it's like a spare bedroom.
A spare bedroom. Nobody goes into. It's just an empty room.
As he's walking around the house, this was a nice transition as well.
Yeah,
it changes from daytime to nighttime, and the rain starts.
Yeah,
so it's like these memories are starting to bleed back through.
Yeah, the shrink's trying to persuade him that maybe there's something he doesn't want to see in that room, but he doesn't know. He just remembers it's an empty room. He remembers sitting down with his family. I mean, he hands his sister a present under the table.
Yeah, like a little gift box.
Yeah, which she then leaves on her mum. Her mum goes to answer the phone that was ringing, and the sister leaves the present on the plate of her mother.
Yeah,
which is a little bracelet, which she opens, but she doesn't thank the sister.
She's not fussed.
In fact, she blanks everybody about this present, doesn't even really acknowledge it. And the phone rings again.
They say, "Come on, put it on." Put it on.
Which she does.
Very reluctantly.
Very reluctantly. But then the phone rings again, so she gets up and leaves the table again.
The sister's really
pissed off.
Yeah.
Because she's just given her mother this present.
Like, why does she hate this girl?
Yeah, she seems to hate this girl.
The phone keeps ringing and ringing, and eventually she gets up to answer it again. It's tense. There's tension.
Very tense,
around the dinner table.
Yeah. We're cut back into the hospital.
The doctor says that's enough for today.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about this anymore.
We don't need to force it.
Because she says if we force it too much, you'll start to mix up your memories.
Yeah.
You'll start to remember stuff that's not real, and things from the present that will bleed into the past.
So at this point, in my notes, I've put in brackets, I may have guessed a twist.
Okay.
And then...
Did you guess a twist? There's no secret that this is the sort of movie that's going to have a twist.
No, obviously not. I'm going to say no, but I wasn't a million miles away.
Yeah, same.
But no, not quite.
Okay, cool. Next day, he gets his first time in a wheelchair. He gets to leave the room. The physio puts him in the wheelchair, takes him out into like the physio room, which has got all the like balls and stuff to play with, and walking frames and things like that. Because this seems to be like a hospital for people who need physio. There's a lot of other people there having this physio as well. And whilst he's doing that, he kind of has it's almost like a seizure, isn't it? He kind of goes all stiff and can't move.
He does, yeah.
And he talks to his physio. It's another panic attack, I think, isn't it? Because he's absolutely terrified because he thinks this shadowy figure guy is coming for him.
But there's just before that, though, just to add to like the sort of something's not right feeling about this. He's being taken to the physical therapy in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And one of the nurses stops the physio and is like, where are you taking him? Not? And you're like, then what? Is he being like kidnapped here?
Yeah,
or something?
what is going on?
It's not. He's just going to physiotherapy. But it's things like that.
This nurse is being like overprotective maybe, or something's going on.
Yes, and he gets there. Yes, he has the seizure, panic attack.
He thinks this shadowy figure is coming for him because he has convinced himself that this is the person that's taken his sister, Laura.
Yeah. The doctor says to him, "It's not real. You can't.
Yeah.
He's not here. You're safe.
You're safe here." He has another flashback to when Laura and him once met this shadowy figure, whoever this guy is, and Laura kind of screams at him and sends him on his way.
She says, "Stay away from our family."
Yeah. But when they get back in the house, Laura's got blood on her head.
Yes.
And she tells her dad she's been hit by a car.
Yeah.
Which you'd have a lot more blood on your head.
He tells her to wash her face.
And her dad's like, clean it up then and sort it out. Don't let your mum see it.
And then she says to Thomas, like, oh, that guy I ran off, he's like his mum's lover.
Yeah. The mother's having an affair. And this is who this is. Nothing feels real at this point.
No.
It's all like...
What is real? I think we know straight away. No, this isn't all to be trusted.
Yeah, I think this is the point where I realise we've got an unreliable narrator here,
Yeah.
as you said, and it's you can't trust anything you're being told in this movie at this point.
But I kind of liked
Yeah.
the fact we were going along with him.
Yeah.
Because it sets up so many possibilities, doesn't it? And red herrings.
Completely. We're being told this story from his perspective, but he doesn't even really know this story himself. My next note says he's having some more physio. Meanwhile, 9/11 happens.
Yes, it does.
He's having this physio, and all of a sudden, another doctor runs in the room.
Is there one reason for this movie to be set in 2001?
I don't know, because it doesn't need to be there.
No.
It's like he's having physio, and another doctor runs into the room and says, "Oh, you need to come and watch the news. The plane's hit the second tower." And so all the doctors leave the room and leave all their patients in this room, and that's it. 9/11 never gets mentioned again. It's just really weird.
And Thomas drags himself across to this other guy who's they've met eyes across the
there's another guy, another patient. This is a guy called Bastian, who's played by Alex Lawther, who's in loads of stuff. Yeah, a really good English actor, I think. He doesn't have any lines in this movie, but it's a really strange casting for a guy who at that point he was like the end of the fucking world was out in 2022, that sort of thing. He was quite a big. He was in that episode of Black Mirror as well. He's been in loads of stuff. He shows Bastian his scar on his stomach, and Bastian doesn't really respond.
What happened to you?
Yeah, doesn't. Yeah,
Thomas
does, and Bastian gets a toy car and a couple of toy dolls. Yeah, and just lies them out as if to say, well, I thought he was implying that he'd been in a car accident and this is what was happening. I don't know if that's what was happening, but I don't even know if Bastian was real. You just don't know.
I took it as, he was in a car crash. And everyone died apart from him.
Then that night he's back in bed and he asks, the shrink's there. He's talking to his shrink again, this Anna, and he says to her, "What's wrong with your leg?" Because she's got developed this limp from somewhere.
I didn't think she had a crutch at the start.
Oh, I don't think she did.
Yeah.
I don't think she did either.
Because I've written in my notes she uses a crutch.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't in the first scene. And she won't tell him. She won't say what's happened to her leg. This isn't about me. It's about you. Then we go back into the flashback. Every time he's with the shrink, we kind of go back to flashbacks. So
to school.
To school, yeah. He's at school with his sister. And
the bell rings for go into class.
Yeah.
And she goes the other way.
She does. He goes one way, she goes the other. After school.
No, I mean, she goes the opposite way for everyone.
Yeah, she leaves the school.
Yeah.
I thought when you went, she goes the other way. That's happened. He follows his sister. His sister leaves the school.
She goes into the woods.
She goes into the woods and she meets up with another girl.
Yeah.
And they start having a bit of a kiss in the forest. And whilst Thomas is watching.
He peers around a tree.
He kind of, sneaking behind a tree. And Laura, who's the sister, gets a bit aggressive.
Bitey.
Bit rapey.
It's a bit Tyson.
And the other girl runs away. And Thomas reveals to his sister that he is there, and she sort of cries a little bit.
She doesn't just cry. She's angry with herself. She hurts herself.
She punches a tree.
Punches a tree. She headbutts a tree.
Yeah.
She has the same wounds that we saw earlier.
Yes.
When she said she got hit by a car.
Yep. But he doesn't remember anything after that he comes back into the real world at that point. My next note says Tom and Bastian play catch.
Yes.
Because they like kind of throwing a ball between each other, which is kind of a bit of a medical marvel to the physio guys.
Apart from the shady nurse.
Yeah, who doesn't
from earlier,
who
stops the game.
Yeah. And they shouldn't be able to throw a ball to each other, but they both can for some reason. But the nurse comes in and splits them up. That night, he sees a crack in the wall, which triggers a memory.
It does.
And we're suddenly
outside the house.
Outside the house. Yeah, sorry, I'm all over the place at the minute. And a car comes, doesn't it, to pick up Laura or to take Laura?
She's just standing in the middle of the road.
Yes. It was weird.
It was weird.
They run into the house. They kind of run away from this car.
I think it just signifies because he pulls her out of the road and this car was speeding. I think it just signifies that his memories are all messed up.
Yeah.
Because we've obviously he spoke to Bastian earlier in the day about the car crash and now he's it's what the doctor said earlier.
Yeah, he's mixing up the real world with the fake world and he doesn't really know what's real and what's not. what does that next note say? He finds her in a room with this mysterious guy, doesn't he?
Yes.
And does that say doctor seduces him? Does he get seduced by his doctor?
No,
sedates him. It says sedates, not seduces.
He's back looking at this. Everything merges. So he sees the hooded man, and we're like, oh, is he having another panic attack? But then the hooded man, a face comes out of the hoodie, and it's like the creepy nurse.
Yeah.
And then they all kind of meld together, and the creepy nurse / hooded guy says, "It's your fault, Thomas. Where is she?"
Yeah. And it's all...
And we don't know now.
Everything's getting mixed up in our heads as well as his head.
Is this panic attack, one? Or two, is this nurse who's been creepily having conversations throughout this movie, is he in on it?
Yeah.
We don't know.
And this shadowy figure / shadowy nurse sedates him at this point.
Yeah.
And the next morning, the shrink comes in, Anna, she says that he's imagined that he wasn't sedated.
Yeah, you weren't sedated last night.
It didn't happen. There's no record of it. That nurse wasn't even on duty that night. And the shrink's like, look, you're lacking focus. You need to really focus on what you're remembering because we need to...
Thomas says to her, "Do you know where my sister is?"
Yeah. And she's like, "No, of course I don't. That's what we're trying to get to." And then the shrink says, "I wonder how your cousin's involved in all of this. Why was your cousin there?"
Who we've conveniently not
mentioned.
Really mentioned yet.
But now we are going to mention because then Thomas starts having flashbacks to this memory.
Yeah.
Because his cousin was there because his cousin's mum was sick, which is his own mother's sister.
Correct.
And she...
Thomas's auntie.
Yes. So, and I can't remember what the cousin was called.
Dylan.
And he had to come and live with Thomas and Laura and their family.
But it's like, yeah.
Because his mum was dying and wanted to be on her own. I don't know.
Exactly, yeah. They're
really
like, okay, we'll take your
and he doesn't want to
fully grown son. I know they're supposed to be like 16.
Yeah, they're playing like 15, 16, but they're adults. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't really know. He's knew these cousins. It's like cousins, I suppose. You know your cousins when you're kids, but you kind of grow apart from them, don't you? But there's this emotional goodbye. And before that, the sick mother hands Thomas's mother, the sick aunt hands Thomas's mother a photo album.
Scrapbook. Photo album. Family memories.
And they start looking at old photos and like having memories.
It's like the two sisters, so it's the two mums growing up and you know, it maps the growth and through their family. And the last picture in the album is of Thomas's mum pregnant with Thomas. Holding Laura and I think baby Dylan. Yeah. And she's pregnant. Thomas says, "Oh, is that me? Yeah, in your tummy." She's like, "Yeah." But there are no more photos after that. No. And Thomas is like, "Why is there no memories of me as a child? What's going on? What is it?" And this is where you start to think, okay, something's coming here. And then we have and then we have a very awkward drive home. Yeah, really awkward drive home. Good scene this was a really good scene. Quite creepy. Yeah. They nearly run over a girl. They're going along in silence. Yeah. And the mum is quite upset because this is quite a traumatic thing. Her sister's dying and might never see her again. Yeah. They might have to raise Dylan from now on. And then they say, "Can we put some music on? Anything would be better than this." And then they all slowly start to sing along with this song, don't they? Yeah. Seems to be getting into it. And then they nearly run a girl over. Yeah, this girl just walks out into the street. I thought quite an effective jump. Yeah, they just stop all of a sudden. And his mum starts crying. Yeah. Literally as soon as this happens. Laura's sitting directly behind her in the back seat and she tries to comfort her. Don't cry, it's okay, it's okay. And the mum, again, just brushes her away. Blanks her daughter. Completely. Like, she hates this girl. Yeah, like she's not even there. Don't touch me. We cut back to the hospital and Thomas is remembering this story. He's also crying as well. And then we cut straight back into the flashback. And it's a little bit later on. They're now back at the house. Dylan is in the empty room. Dylan's living in the basement of this house. Yeah, with Thomas. With Thomas. Sharing even though there is an empty room in the house. Dylan's in there. Dylan's in there. This would make smoking out the window, isn't it? He's like, this will make a good room. And Laura and Thomas come in and like, look, you're not allowed in here. We never come in here. Thomas is kind of watching, and Laura's like, you cannot come into this room. Yeah, it is. We don't know. She doesn't say why, but she says it's empty for a reason. Yeah, we leave it empty for a reason. Get out of this room. Yeah, she's really aggressive with it. She makes it very clear that she doesn't like Dylan being there. A little bit after this, we're back in the hospital. The shrink comes back in. She's like, look, we've run out of time. We've got no time left. We need to make progress. But what does that mean? Yeah. Why do we need to make progress? It's never explained. Because the film's coming to an end. Maybe. I'll get to my thoughts at the end, maybe.
And Thomas says to her, I know where the gun came from. Which we haven't even mentioned a gun since... nobody's even ever mentioned a murder weapon, even though obviously we know these people died of being shot.
Right, we know at least a couple of them were shot. From the first.
But nobody's ever said to him, you need to remember where the weapons come from.
No.
It's all about...
He volunteers that information.
Yeah, he does. And we cut back to another flashback. We're arguing over this empty room again. The phone's ringing again in the house. The phone is always ringing in this house.
Laura's trying to set Dylan up.
Yeah.
Because she says at family dinner with mum and dad there, she says Dylan was in that bedroom.
Yeah.
And he was an arsehole about it, basically. And the mum doesn't believe her. Because again, she hates her for some reason.
Yeah.
Until Thomas says, yeah, he was up there and he was smoking.
Yeah.
So he's like got Laura's back. And then the mum instantly goes, oh, well, it's all right.
It's what it is. It is what it is. The phone rings again. It's Dylan's mum on the phone. She wants to speak to Dylan. Thomas notices that the bracelet that they purchased earlier is in the kitchen bin.
Yeah.
That's just been thrown away with the rubbish. So he gives it back to Laura.
Yeah.
Which Laura's now obviously pissed off even more because she didn't get thanked for this present and now it's been thrown away.
And then we cut to a bit later on in the evening, I presume, where their mother is hugging Dylan on the sofa.
And he's kind of upset and his mum's dying. He's going to be.
Yeah. And they are both standing in a doorway sort of jealous / angry that this new kid has turned up
and taken all the love from his mother that they don't get. Later on that day, Laura tells Dylan that there's a gun in her parents' room.
Yeah.
And I think she says her dad brought it for some reason when they were younger.
She jokes, oh, maybe he brought it to kill us all.
Yeah.
I was like, fucking hell.
Because there's a dog outside as well that never stops barking, which is winding Dylan up.
Yeah.
So that's why she tells him where this gun is. Thomas then wakes up in the night.
And then Laura says, I've got all the bullets.
Yeah.
So it's safe. You can't.
Thomas then wakes up. All these three kids live in the basement. Even Laura lives down there with them. He wakes up in the night and Laura isn't there. He can't find her. So he goes wandering through the house trying to find her. And he walks into this empty bedroom.
Yeah.
And
there's
a crack in the wall, which is the same crack he saw in the hospital wall earlier. And he starts peeling the wallpaper away.
Yeah.
And underneath the wallpaper, there's like young girl's bedroom wallpaper, like
bunnies and squirrels. It's a woodland scene.
But then, also behind that, there is an eye looking back at him.
It was creepy as well.
Creepy as fuck.
And she says, her voice says, "You found me."
And then he wakes up in the hospital again. He tries to get out of the bed.
He, let's say it in inverted commas, walks.
Yes, he very gingerly stumbles out of the bed, which he can't do. He physically can't move. Yeah. The physios don't think he can move at all. He gets to the window and he sees outside the window, he can see the shrink talking to the creepy nurse.
Yeah, they like shake hands.
Yeah, they're talking, like making a deal outside. He sees that. So the next morning, he refuses to work with his physio. He's like, I'm not interested in doing this anymore.
He goes there.
Yeah.
And then he sees Bastian's not there.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if that was the spark. But anyway, he says, no, I'm not doing anything today. Yeah. So they wheel him back.
He also refuses to speak to the shrink.
But he does glimpse Bastian.
Yes.
In the corridor.
Yeah, again, taken back into his room. He also refuses to speak to Anna. And he wants to know why she was talking to this nurse last night.
And then she's like, oh, you're out of bed.
She said instantly, she says, you can walk?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
It was a bit clunky.
And he tells her he doesn't trust her. He's like, I don't trust what you're doing. I don't trust you at all.
So I don't think you're telling me everything.
And he says, I want you to leave. But she won't leave. She's like, no, I'm not going.
And then she says, tells a mini parable, really, doesn't she? She says, look, you need to have a bond with me. I'm the last person who is helping you.
Yeah.
No one else is. And she tells a story about a king who had, he had 3 kids.
Yeah.
But he had no bond with them. He gave them to courtiers to look after, and basically all the kids died and he was left alone.
With no bonds, you can't survive. And she says to him, don't break your only bond.
Yeah.
Which I think was her. I think that's what
that's what she was saying, yeah.
And she says, look, I'm going to tell you the truth. Laura is sick. She's been sick since she was a child. She had behavioural issues. She was not a good kid.
And they've been getting worse.
And she says to him, stop manipulating your memories.
Yeah.
Where's Laura?
And then he says, you're manipulating me.
Yeah.
And they have a bit of an argument.
But when she says, where's Laura? He says, she's behind the wall.
Yeah.
Which is very cryptic. Then we come back to another flashback. Somebody's killed the next door neighbour's dog. It's just wound up dead one morning.
Sure.
Laura says she didn't do it. But she's kind of implying who did do it.
Yeah.
We think it was Dylan. We don't know.
She's definitely trying to set up that it was Dylan, whether
100%.
it was or not.
Back in the hospital, Thomas gets out of bed again. He sees this shadowy figure.
Get out of the car.
Get out of the car. And then suddenly he's in the empty room in the house.
And, well, I think he's starting to panic again because he's seen this hoodie.
Yeah.
And he thinks, well, they're coming for me.
Yeah, so he's kind of now mixing up where he is. He's kind of in the house, also not in the house.
In the hospital and in the house.
He leaves the hospital room, and then he's in the corridor. He's in the hospital corridor, but then he's in the landing on the house.
Yeah.
And he can see the parents decorating the bedroom or the empty room when they were younger.
And he was a baby in a cot.
There was a screaming baby in the cot.
It was him. They were saying, Thomas, don't you ever shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were covering over the bunny squirrel wallpaper with this purple stuff.
One, and then he kind of collapses to the floor in the hospital. And Laura is there.
Yeah, she takes his hand.
Yeah. And then he is told in one of the first twists of this movie he finds out that Laura died when she was 4 years old.
Yeah.
In 1982.
Yeah.
So before he was even born.
Yeah.
Quite a while before he was even born. And she says, the shrink says to him, look, you grew up alone and you transformed your suffering into violence.
Yeah.
You were a violent child. And then we get loads of flashes to what we've already seen in the movie. So he was the one who raped this girl.
So first he has a memory of Dad coming home with the gun.
Yes.
And then, we get all this flashback.
Everything we've seen Laura do was actually Thomas doing.
Yes.
So he was the one who aggressively kissed this girl. He was the one who told his dad that he got hit by a car when he came home covered in blood one day.
Yeah.
He was the one who kicked Dylan out of the empty bedroom.
Yeah. He hurt his mum, put his hands around her throat.
Yep.
Which is why she was so scared of him. We obviously flash back to that bit in the car.
Yeah.
That was him.
Hugging his mother from behind.
And she didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. So he was getting
him giving her the bracelet that she threw away.
She was getting no affection from the family, and that's what's turned him into this person that he's become or does become.
But in all these flashbacks and the flashbacks we now see, I thought it was quite good acting because his parents are scared witless,
terrified
of this kid,
absolutely terrified of him. Cut back to the hospital. He's coming to terms with the fact that what is happening to him now. And he goes into Bastian's room because he wants to run away.
He says, let's go.
Let's leave.
Yeah, it's not safe.
Bear in mind, he can't walk. Bastian can't walk or talk by the sounds of it. Bastian is freaked out. He's like scared of this kid. He's trying to...
Thomas has got up on him.
Yeah, he's on him on the bed in much the same way the shadowy figure was on him earlier. Bastian grabs hold of the emergency alarm call button and presses it. And this creepy nurse comes in,
pulls Thomas off, and then he gives him a couple of shoe-ins just for good measure while he's on the floor.
And he basically saves Bastian. Cut to another flashback. The mum has moved Dylan into the empty room out of the basement. He now lives in there. Thomas killed the dog. We find that out at this point. And his mother calls him horrifying.
He calls it... so I had subtitles.
Okay.
Did you do it up?
Yeah.
She calls him abhorrent.
Oh, really? It says horrifying on the dub. And even his dad says, look, you really scare us and you need to leave us alone.
Oh, his dad says, he calls him a deadbeat. He says, leave us alone, you're a deadbeat.
Oh, in the dub, his dad seems more scared than that. He was like, you scare us. I don't think he calls him a deadbeat in the dub. Okay, that's interesting. And he says, leave us alone. And Thomas leaves and says, he calls them all pathetic.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to be here. You're all pathetic.
The rain starts.
Yeah.
And we cut to Thomas sitting in the basement.
Yeah.
And he's got the bullets in his hand. He has got the
bullets that Laura said that she had earlier. We're going to find out what happened now.
Yeah.
So we cut upstairs. Dad is asleep on the couch watching, I think, MTV or some sort of music TV channel. And Thomas puts the gun to his head. And his dad wakes up and he's like, just do it. As if he was resigned to the fact that he always knew it was going to happen anyway. And he does. Thomas shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
The mum shouts down the stairs, what was that noise?
Yeah.
She comes
cold, man.
Yeah. She comes walking down the stairs. He doesn't even give her a chance to get to say anything or do anything.
She's mid-step off the last step.
And he just shoots her in the stomach.
Yeah.
And she goes down to the floor.
Dylan, he is not quite as quick with.
Yeah, so Dylan then says, what the hell was those two noises?
Yeah.
He comes wandering down. And
they meet on the stairs.
They do meet almost at the bottom of the stairs. Dylan sees what's happened, and
he begs for his life.
He does. He begs for his life, and Thomas puts the gun in Dylan's mouth.
Yeah,
and he's just horrible to him. He's got a gun in his mouth for a start. Dylan looks absolutely. The acting by the guy who was playing Dylan he was terrified. And then Thomas slowly pulls the gun out of Dylan's mouth as if he's going to spare him.
Yeah,
and then shoots him in the stomach.
He does.
And then Dylan stumbles down the stairs.
And Thomas goes to shoot him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
But he's out of bullets.
He does run out of bullets. So he follows him down the stairs, gets on top of him, and strangles him in the same way that we've seen previous times. A pretty horrifying scene.
It was,
pretty dark, really dark.
The
really
coldness
dark
where he just shoots his dad was awful.
Yeah, it really was. Call back to the hospital. Thomas is now tied to the bed in this hospital.
Yeah.
The shrink is there. The nurse is screaming at the shrink. They're arguing. And he's like...
The nurse is like, that's it, done.
Yeah. The nurse says, did you know he could walk for a start?
I didn't know if he was undercover, like a cop. Like more security than
I think it was more of a secure hospital than we were ever let on. I think it was like a prison hospital.
Yeah.
I got that impression. And he's like, look, the nurse was trying to humanely tell Dylan that his sister wasn't real.
Yeah.
And was doing it by making him realise to himself. And the nurse was like, your whole strategy for this was wrong. He's screaming at her. And she said, look, I wanted to treat him like a human. And the nurse calls him a monster.
Yeah.
And the nurse says, look, the shrink says he has a right to be treated. And she didn't want him to regress. But she does apologise to this nurse. She's like, look, I was wrong. And then we cut back and we see him leaving the house in this storm, which was the first scene we've seen from the movie. You see this shadowy figure leave the house.
He gets partway down the road.
Yep. And
changes his mind.
Turns back around, walks back into the house, sits down on the floor in front of his dad, where his dad's body is, and grabs a knife and stabs himself in the stomach.
Yeah.
And as he fades away, he is watching this music video on the TV. And the girl in the video
singing the pop
star in this music video is the image of Laura that he had in his mind. The girl who was Laura all the way through this movie is actually just the girl who's in this
like
movie.
The last thing he saw before he passed out for 3 years.
And the film hits another title card, and that is the end of The Lost Patient.
Yeah, so just before we say what we thought about it. So I thought the twist was going to be like reverse, that all the hospital stuff he was imagining, and the other stuff was the reality.
Got ya.
So I wasn't a million miles away, but I was overthinking it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was pretty clear from very early on that Thomas was not all he seemed. I really enjoyed the bit about Laura. I didn't see that bit coming. That she wasn't real. Because he'd never even met her.
The red Dylan was the big red herring.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they dropped him in after 2/3 of this movie. And he was sort of set up in Act 3 of whatever happened, he was behind it. He was dropped into this family, caused all this chaos.
Yeah,
and we were supposed to think he was going to be the killer,
which is true because he wasn't the killer, but he is the catalyst of how this all happened because he was the reason that
tipped them over the edge.
The parents never loved Thomas because they'd lost their daughter before he was born, and then when Dylan came along and they did show love to him, that's what tipped Thomas over the edge and was like, he couldn't deal with that, and that's why this movie happened. What did you think of it?
I liked it overall.
Yeah,
I think it could have probably been a bit leaner.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But I liked the fact, and it was maybe a bit clumsy how it came together, but generally I just liked the fact that we were along for the ride.
Yeah, I thought it really worked. I thought
the structure was good.
Yeah,
the fact that we were in Thomas's head, learning as he learnt it, worked well.
We haven't done a movie with an unreliable narrator for a while, but I always do enjoy them because you don't know if any of it's real what you're seeing, and then you find out that bits are and bits aren't. And I really enjoyed that, and I was along with this movie all the way through. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it actually.
Good performances.
Some really good performances in it. Considering these guys none of them have ever really done anything before this.
It's the sort of thing where you kind of earmark.
Yeah.
If that director, these actors, if they're a little group, what are they doing next? I'm interested. Even if this isn't a perfect movie, I would check out future work because it's got a lot of what I
enjoy.
Got a lot going for it.
It's got a lot of what I enjoy in it. And it was dark. There was some quite dark, deep scenes in it, but it never felt overpowering.
No.
It was just an enjoyable. I thought the writing was really good. I thought it was really well directed. Like some of those transition shots were really nice. All of that kind of worked. The only thing I'm not sure on is Bastian, because I wasn't sure all the way through if this guy is even there.
Yeah.
Is this guy even real?
But I think he was. Or was he? Or could be because Thomas definitely jumped on someone and tried to kill them.
Absolutely.
Causing him to be restrained.
But it was when he put this toy car down with these dolls.
Yeah.
And then just before Thomas, we didn't say it in the notes, but just before Thomas finds out that his sister died in a car accident, it's the same toy.
Yeah.
And the same doll.
He steps on the
So I didn't know if that was Thomas's mind telling him that.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a grey area around the Bastian character for me. But other than that, I thought it was excellent. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot.
It's really interesting because what I tend to do is after watching the movie, just and often there isn't any reviews or anything about it on online, but the general consensus seemed to be not bad, bit slow. I didn't find that slow. I mean, it's only an hour and a half long.
Yeah,
I didn't feel that it dragged.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't know if we're jaded by some of the movies that we do watch that
possibly.
Are like stupidly slow, but no, I don't think it dragged. I was never bored.
I thought it was pretty well paced.
I was engaged with the story the whole way through, and I was really keen to find out what happened.
Yes.
And where it was going, and what it was obvious a twist was coming, but I was always intrigued to know where that twist was going to be and what it was.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I think 5.3 is really low.
Yeah.
This is a 6 movie, up in the 6s.
Yeah,
definitely.
I know. I can assume part of that is for it just not being well seen.
Yeah, probably
because
this is low-level French cinema.
I think 5.3 is quite harsh.
Yeah, I agree. I do as well. What's the best thing about it? I think the directing. Genuinely, I thought some of those transitions, that first transition scene, I was like, that's set me up now.
Yeah.
I know this is a good director.
And that scene, when we get to the actual murder scene, it's pretty horrific. And it is, even the dinner table scenes, I know it's quite, I suppose it's kind of easy because they're going for confusion, but it works.
Yeah, it does.
It works really well.
Yeah.
Scene in the car as well when they nearly run a girl over. That was a good scene.
Every scene with the mother in is really tense because you know that she is not.
She's acting weird.
She's just being weird.
The pieces fall into place at the end,
and we find out why. What would you change about it?
That's a good question.
There isn't a lot though, is there?
Not.
The 9/11 bit was weird.
Yeah, that felt a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, maybe just take that out.
Maybe I think the character of the father was underserved.
I'd like to know more about Bastian and how he fits into this, because it felt like they were giving me more. Yeah, but it felt like they were trying to give me more than they did. If it's a red herring, I needed more from it.
Yeah.
And if it isn't a red herring, I didn't need it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a very minor quibble. Stream table?
Sure.
$15. This is 16th movie going into the stream table. Do you want me to read all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 15 is Riptide. Number 14 is Hard Feelings. Number 13 is Bloody New Year. 12 is Strange Ways Here We Come, last week's movie. Number 11 is Rogue Agent. Number 10 is Mad Dogs. Number 9 is Hypnotic. Number 8 is The Influence. Number 7, Sundogs. Number 6, Green Sea. Top 5, Bubble. Number 4, Finder's Fee. Number 3, The Girl in the Yellow Jumper. Number 2 is 60 Minutes. And number 1 currently is The Call. Where's this one going, Nick?
I've got a place.
Okay, so have I.
We said last week.
Yeah.
What did we want this week? We said it would be nice to have a movie to challenge the top 5.
Yeah, we did.
I think we've got that.
I agree. I think we definitely have got that. It definitely is in the top 5.
And I think also, given what we said, I think 2 weeks ago, that it's not the strong. Not to say the top three are bad, but they're not the strongest top three we've ever had on this show.
Agreed.
That if you wanted to make an argument for this being fourth, third, second, or first, I would hear that argument.
Can I make an argument?
You can.
I think this is the best film we've seen this season.
Okay.
Genuinely, I think it's... In fact, I think it's easily the best film we've seen this season.
Oh, easily, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Go on.
No, that's it. That's my argument.
I mean, I've got to say, that was also my initial reaction.
Yeah.
Like, in the immediate...
I'm not surprised.
During it, and in the immediate aftermath.
I was about halfway through and I was like, we've got a number one contender here.
Yeah.
Depending on where it ends up. And then when it finished, I was like, this is the best film we've seen this season.
I think I've called on it a little.
I think I might have a little bit. Because it's been 2 days since I watched it, which is unusual for me. But I still think it's better than The Call.
I also think it's better than The Call, and that's the number one for film. So in I have it in my head. I have it sort of equal with The Girl in the Yellow Jumper.
Okay.
Just like, again, there's that sort of rug pull. And I just think they fit quite nicely together as a sort of...
Yeah, they do.
There is a bit of structural similarity there. But, I mean, the acting, I think this is the best acting we've seen this season as well.
I think it's the best acting we've seen this season. I think it's the best made film, best written film. I think it's just the best film we've seen this season for numerous reasons.
My pitch was going to be first or second.
Okay.
And I think I did enjoy it more than The Call.
I think it has to go first.
Yeah.
I think it is... I don't even think it's close, if I'm honest. I think it's easily better than The Call.
I think it's the most... I think it's pretty much I think it's the most engaging film.
Yeah.
Like, in terms
it's
of...
the most I've really enjoyed a film.
I felt invested.
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite sure where it was going, and that's going to win a lot of races.
Yeah.
I still think it can be beaten.
I agree. I absolutely agree. There's still 2 wildcards to play this season.
Yeah.
There's still, 9 movies left in this season. I'd be surprised if this wins the stream table at the end of the year. And if it does, I still think it's a weak stream table, if I'm being honest.
But it's the best
currently, it's the best movie we've seen, and it does deserve to be number one.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Book it
in. Get it in. It's in. Right.
The Call's been at the top for a long time.
Second week of the season?
Yeah.
I think it's been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
Knocked off.
100%.
Quite rightly as well. Which means we need to find next week's movie. I did contemplate playing my wild card this week, but I'm having second thoughts at the last minute. So I've decided to put it off for now.
You're going to ponder on that
until about 5 minutes ago. I was going to play it.
Okay.
But I've changed my mind. I'm going to put it off.
Well, what's changed?
I'm going to put it off. So,
do you think there's something wilder out there?
I think there's maybe a wilder card out there. So we need Robin. We need to call Robin in. He was going to have the week off, but he's now not going to.
Welcome back, Robin R. Randomizer.
Robin R. Randomizer. That is his new name. What do you want him to pick, Nick? What would you like to watch?
I still want to see some stuff blow up.
Yeah, we've still not done any blowy uppy stuff, have we? Shall I press the button?
Yes, please.
Robin has picked us a movie called The Utah Cabin Murders.
Okay.
I am aware of this movie.
Are you?
Yes. This movie's directed by Andrew Jones.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's an Andrew Jones movie.
Yeah, we have seen a couple of his movies.
He's in the Hall of the Captain's Gallery.
He is, yeah.
He's at Captain's Gallery. Unfortunately, no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago.
So, Werewolves of the Third Reich, we did on the show.
We did. Funhouse Massacre,
which was one of your
wild cards. One of my wild cards.
And of course, we have watched
in the watch-alongs we do in Discord. We've done a lot of his movies.
Okay.
I think we're probably Andrew Jones's biggest fans. Also, we're not very nice about some of his movies.
Okay, what's the synopsis?
Do you want the synopsis?
Yeah, I do.
It was released in 2019. It is an 18, obviously. It says, 2 sisters fight for survival when masked intruders invade their vacation cabin.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Right up my street.
IMDb rating?
Yes,
Can I have a guess? Bearing in mind, you know a lot of Andrew Jones.
0.3.
So close. 2.6.
Oh, okay.
Better than you expected.
Brilliant.
Written and directed by Andrew Jones. Captain's Gallery member. Another one of his films on the show.
I wonder if
Can't
any
wait.
familiar faces will pop up.
Right up my street, these sort of things. I love this sort of thing.
Good. That'll be... I'll make for a good episode.
Oh, yeah, 100%. We'll have a lot of fun with that no matter what. So, yeah, go out and watch the Utah Cabin Murders. And in the meantime, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd. No, that's not right. Instagram and Letterboxd at BOTS_podcast. If you want to drop us an email, our email address is bottomofthestream@gmail.com and our website is bottomofthestream.com. On our website, you will find every episode we've ever recorded. Loads of stream table, all the stream tables, loads of other cool stuff, and you can even get some merch if you want to buy a Bottom of the Stream
Toy car.
Where's that come from?
The movie we watched.
Oh, yeah, of course. Okay. It's already gone out of my mind.
You just put it at the top of the table. God damn.
After you've done all of that, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/bottom of the stream. On there, for £5 of your English pounds every month, you will get early access to episodes. You'll get bonus episodes. You will get an exclusive access into our Discord. We occasionally will send you some cool merch out. And you will also get a wild card, which means you can pick the movie we watch one week, give Robin the week off. And if you pick the best one of the season, you will win a prize. After you've done that, head over to Discord. The Discord is a wonderful group full of wonderful people. We do watch-alongs, we play games. There's always somebody to talk to in the Discord.
It's been popping off while we've been recording this. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, we'll have to find out what's been going on. We'll have to find out what's been going on. Yeah, it's always some... I think it's probably because Ross Cook's watching Rebel Moon.
Probably.
And that is... Zack Snyder's not... If you're a fan of Zack Snyder, you're not welcome in our Discord. Yeah, all of that. I can't remember where I've got to, but the Discord link will be in the show notes.
If you can spare a few minutes, please leave us a rating and review anywhere you can rate and review podcasts. We're on all of those places. They are places like Podbean, Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, all of them and more. Come find us.
Definitely come find us.
Make friends with us.
Please be our friend. And then go out and watch the Utah Cabin Murders, and we'll be back on Monday for The Wave and next Thursday for the movie show.
Cheers!
Goodbye!